happen, I think.
Testing 1, 2.
Here we are. Yep. Our mic dropped, so you missed the backup part. I hope you didn't miss the whole beginning.
There you go.
Wow. Yeah, well, it's
a work in progress.
Work in
folks.
progress. This isn't our permanent solution. We wanted to try it out.
So what you missed is the cybersecurity, the cyber insurance, the items you need to have in place so you don't get dropped by your insurance company for cyber insurance. First one is computer backups. They need to be encrypted, meaning they're not in plain text, etc. Offline and air gapped, so they're not physically. If you back up your computer to another computer on your network, even if it's a server or something, it's still susceptible to cyber attack or loss of data. Mm-hmm. And you have to have different access credentials from other admin credentials. So if I get your administrative credentials, username and password to get into your network, I can't use that same one to get into your backups. So those are the bullet points on that briefly.
Cool. Okay, so backup was number 1.
Yep.
These are things that you have to have in place, by the way, in case my introduction didn't get on here when the mic was, for some reason, off.
We'll have to watch.
Yeah, we'll have to watch later. But I will tell you somewhere in this video where to get this checklist yourself, because it's going to be on our website for you to download, but it's not there yet. So I'm going to give you a way, that you can download it.
Yep.
Okay, so number 2 is close open firewall report. Ports. So what does that mean? I don't have a firewall. DS Tech has firewalls.
Yeah, I just a general Aaron level concept here. Firewalls sort of are your gateways, your traffic cops for your external, internal, and certain vendors, certain services require certain ports be open, closed, and really what this is saying is to really keep a tidy note on what you have open, what you have closed, and secure and close anything that doesn't need to be.
Yep. Which we can handle quite easily. There's we can do audits to see what ports are open on your network and close the ones you're not using.
Yep. I'll give you just a quick, great example. I don't want to beat this one up too much, but a lot of times when you work with any kind of vendor, they require certain ports to be accessible for their services to be able to be utilized on your site. And firewall team will have to go in and open that up. And a lot of times that vendor may only need to use it for a quick one time, and that firewall team may never close it out again. So the audit Dave is referring to is kind of important, because over years, you may have a dozen open ports that had been opened at one point that are still wide open to the world.
Right.
So.
Okay, number 3 is disable RDP,
which is
and
remote.
enable MFA. Don't you love these acronyms? Okay, so RDP is remote desktop protocol or something like
Procedure.
that. Procedure?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's like working from home.
Right.
Right?
Logging into your desktop at work using Microsoft's remote desktop procedure. Not necessarily the safest.
Right.
Secure.
They're saying either disable it or
use multi-factor authentication,
which is the MFA.
Right, which forces you to log in, username, password, and then get a token on your phone and approve it, or an email and approve it. So it's a very
more secure.
Added layer of security. Yep.
There are some other acronyms listed under here.
That's under email security.
Yeah.
Though.
Why don't we just lump those together, though?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go through them because there's a ton of information.
Well,
on here.
there's
number 4 is email security.
4 and 5, I think, are pretty
both email.
These are big topics.
Huge.
Well, we're just going to glance over them, and if you have questions, feel free to.
So, basically, what Jenny, Dave, and myself are saying is, if you're a business owner and you use email for anything, at some point in the near future, you're going to have a list of these things to check off and provide to your provider that you're doing these security things like filtering and blocking phishing and and other security controls. So it's important to get these in place now so that when that time comes, you don't have to worry about it.
Right. Email is the number one way
Yes, that's something.
the bad guys get into your network. Sending a link to a poison website or a malicious software that will be installed by clicking on something. People don't realize these people are smart and they trick you into clicking on things, and it's a huge security risk.
I was glancing through the alphabet that's under there, and some of the general things I got from it was that some of the things that those alphabet things do is check to verify where the email is coming from,
Yeah.
right? That it's coming from an actual server and it hasn't been bounced off of something else,
Right.
Stuff like that, and making sure that it's coming.
Legitimate domain.
Yes.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well, in high level email, security does provide a very solid level of that protection. I know, here at DS Tech, it's very rare that I get, other than our internal phishing, I hardly, get these junk emails any longer.
Yep.
I mean, I still get quite a bit of spam from some of the different vendors that we associate with, which is fine. But I think what we're saying here is these security controls will really eliminate a lot of the noise coming into your email inbox, but also you'll get the training too to spot those malicious or the phishing examples.
That's a great point.
And we've done a couple videos on that. So if you go back to our YouTube channel and find it, I don't know if I have them all categorized yet, but if you look for email phishing, we went over that. We showed screenshots on how to look for fishy emails.
Yes.
Matter of fact, our phishing email does such a good job that I have to dig into my junk folder to find legitimate emails now. So, you can train it. I let them know. I'm like, this is not junk, but it does such a good job.
Yep.
Okay, so that actually covered 1, 2, 3, 4. Number 4 and 5. So number 6 is encryption. Basically, for all confidential information stored on your systems and networks. So encryption. How do you get encryption? Is that I know you can encrypt emails, right?
Yep.
Like Microsoft 365
Allows you to
encrypts.
encrypt.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because you can actually check the encryption, and I think it automatically encrypts some of it.
Certainly Windows 10 allows you to, as a home user, encrypt files and I believe folder level too. Obviously encryption, it just scrambles it. It's not, you can't open it up and read plain text. It's encrypted. And the important thing about the encryption is you need credentials to decrypt it, right? So you can steal my document that's encrypted, but you don't have the credentials to decrypt it, and you don't have the security key to you don't have the security key to decrypt it, and you don't have the credentials to open it either. So it's a
Incidentally, that's what the hackers do too.
Multi-layered.
good point.
I was just thinking about
they
that.
encrypt your data.
Yeah. So
and insist on getting money from you to
get the
decrypt
key,
it. So,
if they even give you the key.
yeah.
So the next one is, we already talked about it a little bit, but in more detail, MFA needs to be multi-factor authentication, which means
Two-factor.
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 3-factor? Is there 4-factor? I don't know.
I suppose somewhere maybe.
They've been using multi-factor for eons and eons. I remember the old James Bond movies where they had to scan the guy's eye or the fingerprints or the handprints to get into the super secret
And the password,
boss
right?
layer.
You had to have a password and the
So all it really is just
It's two
multi-factor.
things.
Yeah.
two things.
I think the easiest one would be a push notification or some type of
I like that one.
alerter. Yep. It's not a code-based. I mean, you get the code-based ones that will send you a code that you got to put in. Nowadays, or an email. I know email is pretty popular. Where if you want to do the two-factor, they send you an email. You wait a minute, you get the email, and you put it in, and you're logged in. And then the one that I think we like the most is where it actually comes to you, and then you can verify it. So
On your
it'll
phone.
come to you as a
Yep.
a push, and then it'll ask you to verify it, and you say okay.
Yep.
And
This
it
is
will
me.
tell
logs
you.
in.
In the app we use on our phones for many of our systems is
It's dual.
Duo, and you say send me a push when you try to log in, and it goes to your phone and it tells you who's trying to log in. Dave Vasilovitz logging into application X from location Escanaba, Michigan. It's right there. It doesn't say the Prince of somewhere in Europe or, right, or trying to log into it tells you who it is. So it's
That's happened to me before
Mhm.
on Facebook and on
you've
Gmail
gotten pushes
from like Nigeria or
from-
something.
yeah.
And I'm like, no, that's not me. I'm like, no, don't let them in.
Some Russian hacker.
Holy crap. Kind of gave me shivers and scared me a
And
little bit.
if you've used the internet at home for banking or anything that's secure, financial,
Yeah.
whatever, you've used two-factor authentication. You probably have it sent to your email where you get a code, a
Well,
6-digit code or
The
whatever.
new
It's the same thing.
the new iPhones nowadays do the face scan technology, and I know my banking app, when I log into my bank app, it says Face ID recognition,
Wow.
and it'll actually take a second, and I got to hold it still, and it'll do something, and then it'll log me in.
Ooh, this
same
is
thing,
like Buck Rogers.
Yeah.
same thing with my iPhone.
So it's not letting me in
I'm
your
older
account.
than them.
If Dave used my
might.
iPhone right now, it would try to face recognize him, and it wouldn't let him in, and he would then need to know my passcode to get into my iPhone.
Interesting.
You know who Buck Rogers is?
Sure.
I do.
Or
Just
Dick Tracy, maybe.
Yeah.
All
The
right.
$1 Million Man.
Couple more here.
Next gen antivirus. Ginny.
Oh, this one, guys, I have to tell you, we're having a special guest next week that's going to go into detail on
Finally.
this. Yeah, he was supposed to be here this week. I'm sorry. I did tell you last week he's going to be here, but he's not
Oh.
next week. So, and he's going to go into detail on what next gen is and SOC. That's another alphabet, SOC, which stands for what?
Security Operations
Center.
Control Center.
Or
Right? Or
Sentinel-1. I don't know.
No, it's superior. He's right. It's Security
Security
Operations
Right.
Center, I
And we
think,
have
because it's like
NOC
a
and SOC.
place,
Mhm.
Yep.
a center of people and computers, and they all they do is scan data
Monitor. Yep.
and monitor
And
stuff.
when the next gen antivirus detects something, an anomaly, because it uses artificial intelligence, it reports out to the SOC.
Yep.
And then they deal with it and say, oh,
Yeah.
that's okay.
I mean,
or-
right then and there, and it's
Yep.
24/7.
Yep.
So
One of the best recent examples I've heard of what next generation means is the previous generation of antivirus, the first generation or whatever you want to call it. What they would do is they would have to download all of their definitions of these
Yep.
viruses or bad actors out in the world to stay up, to stay sort of with the trends or with the bad guys. The next generation is not the same. It doesn't need to download the definitions. What it does is artificial intelligence watches behaviors, watches processes,
And
anything that
learns.
deviates out of the normal, it flags.
Yep.
Once the flag sort of hits a different level of threat or risk, it starts to activate different things, and it can go so far as shut stuff down. If a process starts on a PC remotely somewhere,
mhm.
and this SOC next gen finds it, it'll stop that process dead in the tracks. If it's deemed a super threat, it'll actually roll back any of those processes that threat may have made to a previous spot.
Yeah.
Very complicated stuff.
Come next week.
Yeah.
This is
Yep.
a fascinating topic, and the guy that's coming really knows his stuff about it.
Yeah.
He's actually, well, I'll introduce him when he comes.
Yeah.
But next we have system upgrades and patches,
Pretty self-explanatory.
which just means keeping your equipment up to date, keeping your software up to date for security holes, that kind of stuff,
Yep.
right?
Don't be running
Um,
Windows XP anymore.
Yep.
Yeah.
Our
Even Windows 7 is now a security, don't want to say threat.
yeah, because it's end of life. They
Yeah.
don't support it
Security
anymore, and they don't
risk.
have
They don't push
Yeah,
the
they don't
updates
patch the
out to it.
holes anymore.
That's one of the biggest things you can do as a home user, simply, anybody, is to run your Windows updates.
Yep.
They're by and large security issues identified by Microsoft, and they're free and they can be done automatically, and they're very important.
Yep.
Excuse me,
The
sorry.
DS Tech stock that we had mentioned a moment ago will also do this for our business clients. So instead of relying on the client to keep their system patched and updated regularly, the DS Tech Next Generation and the SOC will do this for them in the
Yep.
background. So there's no worries there. The cyber insurance compliance is all maintained.
And what I found interesting, and I only learned this not too long ago, is the SOC also vets the updates, the Microsoft updates, and make sure they're not, because historically, if you've been in the business long, like me, you've seen where Microsoft updates break things. They're not, you have to do them, but they occasionally can wreak havoc.
Yeah, every
So,
once in a while.
Yeah, so these are vetted to make sure that they're legitimate and they won't cause any issues. They test them, and okay, this one we can do and this one we won't. So that's another benefit of having the Security Operations Center.
Yeah, definitely.
Mhm.
And then finally,
the
Yeah.
last one.
Common sense.
Pretty good here is restricted administrative privileges for specific users.
We talked about this
Yeah.
on zero level trust. We
It-
talked about zero level
Yeah.
trust, and that's
Great example is Aaron and Dave have very little access, and Ginny has the highest access ever. So she's the
Actually,
super
I don't.
admin.
I don't. I have rights to certain stuff,
Yeah.
stuff that I need that kind of rights too, right? It's need to know basis.
Yeah, yeah.
And one of the things that I'm going to add to this, and it says restrict admin privilege to specific users. I don't have admin privileges on my own desktop computer
No.
that I work on all
I
day.
don't either.
Right.
And this is a
Nobody
huge
does.
thing, right?
Yeah.
This is a huge thing because now I can't install something, even if it's being done secretly by a bad guy. It can't happen because my user has no
Yeah.
rights.
So
Right.
if it were hacked,
Right.
wouldn't get any further
Yep.
Yeah.
than your computer
So it's not just
or
on
what you
your
have access to.
it's not just on your domain resources that you restrict. You can do it. You can do it at home too. Make your user a guest account, and then when your grandkids come over to play on your computer, they can't.
Yeah.
Or they can't wreck anything.
But nothing worse too, and just to finish up here with a kind of a scary Halloween story, nothing worse than going to a client site to do some work with them or their users on some of the applications that we provide here, and then not being able to access a certain software or part of the system because of administration privileges, which is good, which is,
Yeah.
you don't want to have willy-nilly people in there doing whatever they want, only to have one of the clients that you're working with who may or may not have been an administrator or have those privileges say, oh, I've got that login and password. Let me just type it in real quick for you right then and there.
Well, we do have some users we allow because we trust them to log in, make changes, and then log out and let the user or themselves log in as their less privileged account.
We talked about that too. We talked about, I think it was a couple weeks ago, on password sharing,
Yep.
whether you should, and if
Big
there's
no-no.
ever a good idea, every once in a while, I guess there is, and we talked about how to properly share your passwords.
Yep. Yep.
Limitly or something. I don't know what the word is. It's not limitless.
Limitedly.
These are all going to be things that
The
we're going to talk
opposite.
about next week, but be prepared. We
Yeah.
warned you.
Yes, your insurance companies are going to be looking for all of these things to be implemented on your network.
And who can help them implement those things on their network?
DS Tech can do all of that, and we can answer your questions. But yeah, find out if you need to find a local provider that can help you out with that, or if you have yeah, I know.
DS Tech. I need to not wear a light colored shirt next week as well. A little washed out here.
We're working on this.
I put on the
Yeah.
screen, right down there. It's hard to point to.
Hello, Aaron.
Over there. Send an email to security@dstech.net with the subject line cyber insurance, and we'll make sure that you get a copy of that checklist. All right?
Yep. We're happy to
So-
help you.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
See you
make it
next
great day.
week with our special guest. It's going to be
in our
really
new
cool.
set,
Yeah.
hopefully.
Hopefully we'll have our new setup. But
Yes.
this worked out really well,
All right.
except for our little glitch in the beginning. Make it a great day.
Oh, good stuff.